A police car destroyed in the middle of nowhere. There is evidence of an explosion, but we don't know the source. And we have one witness who hasn't been able to tell us much. The lucky policeman who survived. So what happened here? My name is Detective Teresa Kelly, and I'm a crime scene investigator. Together, we're going to figure out what happened here, and we're going to make sure it never happens again. Okay, let's start with a recreation of the crime scene. Here we have a burnt-out police car in the middle of a field. This is our blast radius. So what caused this explosion? Let's take a look at our clues. A policeman had parked his car in the field and was investigating a report of an odd smell in the area. The burn pattern indicates an extremely explosive, flammable compound. So how did this happen? Let's take a closer look at the field. When we expanded our search to a wider radius, we came across signs like these. Now, these are visual indicators of underground facilities, like pipelines. They should be clearly visible, but sometimes these signs are covered by foliage or missing due to theft. There was a phone number on the sign, so I called to find out if they could tell us something about any underground lines. They confirmed that the warning signs like these indicate the presence of a pipeline, not necessarily right above it, but in the vicinity. They also informed me that they had detected an incident with one of their lines in the area, and they had it shut down and informed government regulators. However, that particular line is well away from our explosion, so how could it have anything to do with our investigation? They agreed to send an expert out to give us a hand. There is a vast network of underground facilities linking people to essential services and supplies in cities, rural communities, and on farms. Electrical lines and cables, water, sewer, and drainage lines, communication services, telephone, cable TV, oil, gas, and other liquid hydrocarbon products. The safest and most efficient means of transporting liquid hydrocarbons, pipelines, can span a variety of terrains, supplying us with fuels we use in our daily lives. So what do these underground facilities look like? Well, they range in size from small cable lines to oil pipelines 48 inches or 1,219 millimeters in diameter, to sewage and drain pipes you could stand up in. And what's the one thing they all have in common? They're vulnerable to damage. Whether it's a shovel, an auger, heavy equipment, boring, horizontal or directional drilling, or other potentially hazardous activities like seismic or explosive work. Even driving over a line with heavy vehicles like a logging truck can damage it. In North America, there are over 200,000 incidents involving underground facilities every year. People are seriously injured, sometimes fatally. Millions of dollars of damage to facilities, equipment, and the environment. So anyone planning an excavation anywhere, any place, must always call the local one-call service before they dig. If you don't call, you could be liable for the costs associated with damages. State, provincial, and in some cases federal legislation requires that excavators need written permission from owners to work near certain underground facilities. As a part of your planning, it's important to allow enough time for approvals. Welcome, Sam. Thanks for coming. Why don't you tell us what it is that you do?
Well, I'm a locating expert. I go to sites prior to excavation and mark underground lines. A properly marked site will have colored flags, stakes, and painted markings. Most facility owners use the American and Canadian Public Works Association International Color Codes. For example, red indicates electric power lines, cables, conduit and lighting systems. Blue is our potable water lines. Purple is our irrigation, slurry lines, and reclaimed water. Yellow is for oil and gas, steam, petroleum products, and gaseous materials. Green indicates sewage and drainage lines. Orange is our communication systems, alarm lines and signal lines. White indicates a proposed excavation. Fluorescent pink is our survey markings, including property lines and utility facility easement boundaries.
Great. So what kinds of lines exist at this site?
We have a buried power line that should have been marked and staked red had it been called in. And here, we've got NGL lines, natural gas liquids, should have clearly been marked yellow. If it was up to me, I'd have a look at those two lines to find out the potential cause for your explosion.
Excellent. Thank you. On further examination of the right-of-way, we discovered a recent excavation approximately 650 feet or 200 meters from the explosion. As the pipeline company was repairing the line, they found gouges in the pipe, obviously done by a backhoe. Apparently, the day before, a contractor had been digging here, but did not call to have the lines marked. Let me show you how easily damage can occur when you don't call. Take this piece of electrical wire and a shovel. Now, if I can do that much damage with just a shovel, imagine what an auger or backhoe would do. Now, let's take a larger piece of petroleum pipe. A large piece of equipment like a backhoe can cause serious damage. A backhoe is capable of exerting thousands of pounds of force. Combined with the force of the arm that is attached to the bucket, it's far more than this pipe is capable of withstanding. In this case, the backhoe damaged the pipe, which led to the leak of NGL vapor. When introduced to the atmosphere, NGL expands 80 times its volume, creating a fog-like cloud. Being heavier than air, the cloud moved away from the excavation site to settle in this low-lying area here, some distance from the actual leak. NGL vapors are extremely flammable and explosive. Any spark near the pipeline could set it off. In this case, the flashing lights of the police car likely ignited the NGL vapor. Luckily, the police officer had left his car to examine the field. Otherwise, he would have been hurt. The contractors damaged the pipe. They compounded their error when they left the site without reporting the incident to anyone. Here's what should be done if you hit a line. Stop work, shut off all ignition sources, don't fill in the excavation. The damage may not be evident. Evacuate area on foot immediately. Contact facility operator and local authorities when you're a safe distance away. Before you excavate, call. It's that simple. 2 or 3 working days before you're going to dig, call the local one-call service. They have the latest information, and it's free. In Canada, look up your provincial one-call provider for the local number. In the US, call 811. When you call, have all the details about your proposed dig. The location, where in the property the dig will be, the size and depth of the dig, the type of excavation, and when you want to begin. One-call operators will coordinate all services to visit your site and clearly mark the underground lines. Who makes the call? Doesn't matter, as long as someone makes the call and gets a ticket number. This ticket is proof the call was made. And if you're part of a crew beginning a dig and there's no ticket, you make the call, or find out why the person responsible hasn't made the call. It is also your responsibility to call facility owners who have elected not to be members of your local one-call system. So why don't people call? Perhaps they think it'll save time or money, but the cost in time, money, and lives is far higher when you don't call. The evidence is overwhelming. It's easy. It saves lives. It saves millions in damages. It saves your reputation as a professional. The contractor that caused this accident was tracked down and is facing legal proceedings. So please, dig with care. Call before you dig. Allow enough time for experts to mark the site. You need to provide 2 full working days' notice prior to starting your work, not counting the day of your call, weekends, or holidays. This provides time for utilities to accurately locate facilities within your dig site. Respect the marks. Before you begin your excavation, walk through the site to familiarize yourself with the markings and the locations of buried facilities. Confirm that all utilities have responded to you, indicating they have marked your property. Excavate carefully. It's important excavators take a proactive approach to safety, not only for themselves, but for the public by initiating the one-call process and adhering to the steps of a safe excavation. Damage prevention is a shared responsibility. Call before you dig.